Hello, everyone. I am here with Mrs. Minnie Prince.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning from Minister's Island. So, we are here in New Brunswick on Minister's Island, which is just outside of St. Andrews. And we are at the summer home of Van Horne. Yes, that Van Horne. So, we are doing some railway history. There's a tour that's about to begin in a few minutes. And if the internet and the Wi-Fi hold out, I will take you on a tour of William Van Horne of the Last Spikes summer home in New Brunswick. And I guess this is where he came to relax from running a very large intercontinental railway. Beautiful, beautiful day. We just came up to collect our children from Grandma and Grandpa's place in St. Andrews, New Brunswick, and came in from Maine yesterday, and we're about to get a tour. So I'm going to stop talking, and when the tour starts, we'll listen in. Oh, here's there's thing one and thing two.
So, welcome to Minister's Island. It is a 500-acre part-time island, meaning that when the tide is high, the road that you drove across to get here gets covered by about 14 feet of ocean water. So you definitely don't want to be here after we close. The island was first inhabited about 2,500 years ago by the Passamaquoddy First Nations people. They would come here during the summer months, hunt, fish, and so on, then would go back to the mainland during the winter months for shelter and warmth. A room dedicated to them on the left. That, along with what is now our gift shop, would have been Sir William Van Horne's private libraries. Now, in 1790 came the first person to actually build a building here on the island. He was by the name of Reverend Samuel Andrews, and he was an Anglican minister in the town of St. Andrews. So that's where Minister's Island got its name, Minister's Island. He built a white stone cottage, you may have seen on your drive up here, right by the barn. It's covered by a massive orange tarp, as it is the oldest building on the island and still original, so we're trying to, fix it up a little bit right now, but it is still quite neat to see. Now, 100 years after him, finally came the Van Hornes. You're probably wondering where they got enough money to buy an entire island, build 23 buildings on this island, to only live here from May to October. Well, Sir William Van Horne was actually born in Illinois, and at the age of 14, his father passed away, so he needed to find a way to make some extra money. So he joined the railway out in Illinois, and he was very smart, and he worked his way up until eventually he was asked to become the general manager of the Canadian Pacific Railway, the CPR. At that point, he was given 10 years to do the set project of building the railroad across Canada, but he managed to do it in 4.5 and half the budget. And for that, he was given $1 million bonus in 1885. Yeah, it's about $30 million today. A lot of money. So obviously he had to find something to do with that money. So he decided to move him and his family down here seasonally, and then they lived in Montreal for the rest of the year. So he had a wife named Lucy Hurd, and they had 2 children. There was Adeline, or Miss Addie, and Richard Benedict, or Benny. Benny also went on to have a son named Billy, stayed here while Sir William was still around. Sir William Van Horne did end up passing away in 1915 at the age of 72. So at that point, he needed to find someone to pass the island down to, but his son and his grandson had no interest. They thought it was too much of a hassle. They preferred just the relaxing aspect of the island and not the management aspect. So it ended up going down to his daughter, which was really quite rare for the time, especially for such a grand estate. But she took very good care of the island, ran it just like her father, until her own death in 1942. Now at that point, there really weren't a lot of people left to pass the island down to in the Van Horne name, but luckily, Billy did end up having a daughter named Beverly Ann. So this would have been Sir William Van Horne's great-granddaughter. But she was only 9 at the time of Miss Adams' death.
So here's the famous picture of the last spike. And I'm guessing Sir Sanford Fleming, number 8. That's kind of cool. Look at that.
But with so much land, there's a lot of maintenance you have to do, and so it's really hard to really make any profit. So in 1977, the owners at the time decided to sell it off yet again, and as a surefire way to make some money, they held an auction with all of the original Van Horne furniture right here in the main living room. And within 3 days, they sold off 95% of what was original.